I went to church to escape my feelings. Instead, I confessed them to the wrong man. I didn't come looking for forgiveness. I came because I was tired. Tired of praying the same prayers. Tired of asking for things to disappear. Tired of pretending I didn't know who I was. The church was almost empty when I walked in. Late afternoon light filtered through the stained glass, coloring the pews in soft blues and golds. The air smelled like old wood and incense. Quiet. Safe. The sign by the door read, "Confession, Wednesdays, 6 p.m. I stared at it longer than I should have. Then I stepped inside. The curtain slid closed behind me. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Then a calm voice spoke from the other side. "Whenever you're ready." I swallowed. "I don't know what I'm doing here," I said. "That's okay," he replied. "Most people don't." There was no judgment in his voice. No impatience. Just presence. "I think something is wrong with me," I whispered. Silence. Not the uncomfortable kind. The listening kind. "I feel things I shouldn't feel," I continued. "I've tried to pray them away." My hands were shaking now. "I've tried to be normal." From the other side of the screen, he spoke gently. "You're not the first person to feel this way." That surprised me. I hadn't expected reassurance. "I'm scared," I admitted. Scared that if I say it out loud, it becomes real. Another pause. Then softly he said, "You're safe here." Something in my chest loosened, so I kept talking. About confusion. About loneliness. About feeling like I was disappointing everyone. Including God. He didn't interrupt. Didn't rush me. When I finally stopped speaking, my throat hurt. "You carry a lot of shame," he said carefully. I laughed without humor. "I thought that was the point." "No," he replied. "The point is healing." I left the confessional that day feeling lighter. Not fixed, but heard. The next week I came back. Same time. Same booth. Same voice. "Welcome back," he said, like he'd been expecting me. That unsettled me more than it should have. Week after week, I returned. I didn't plan to. It just happened. Sometimes I talked. Sometimes I cried. Sometimes I sat in silence while he waited patiently on the other side. He never rushed me out. Never made me feel like a burden. One day I asked his name. There was a pause. Then he gave it to me. Hearing it felt strange. Too personal. "I don't want you to think I'm weak," I said once. "You're not," he replied. "You're honest." That was the first time I realized something. I wasn't just confessing anymore. I was waiting for him. I started arriving early, sitting in the pews, listening for his footsteps. One afternoon, after confession ended, he spoke again. "You don't have to leave so quickly," he said. I froze. Isn't that the rule?" He hesitated. "We can talk," he said. "Out here." We sat in the empty church. Not facing each other, but close enough to feel the quiet between us. "I worry about you," he said. The words caught me off guard. "You shouldn't," I replied. "I know," he said, "but I do." That was the moment something shifted. Not dramatically, subtly, like a door cracking open. When I left that day, my heart was racing. And for the first time, I wasn't sure if I was seeking forgiveness anymore, because I didn't just feel seen. I felt chosen. And that was when the rules started bending. Long before either of us admitted it, I told myself I was just grateful. Grateful to be heard. Grateful to feel lighter. Grateful that someone finally didn't look at me like I was a problem to be fixed. That's what I told myself. But gratitude doesn't make your heart race when you hear footsteps behind you. And it doesn't make you arrive early just to sit in silence, waiting. He started meeting me outside the confessional more often. Always after hours. Always when the church was empty. We sat in the same pew, leaving a careful space between us. Careful. First. "I hope this is okay," he said one evening. "I don't want you to feel confused about why we're talking." I nodded. "I don't," I lied. The conversations changed. They weren't just about sin anymore. They were about fear. About loneliness. about what it means to live a life chosen for you. Do you ever feel like you're disappearing? I asked once. He didn't answer right away. Yes, he said finally. More often than I admit. That was the first crack. Not desire. Recognition. He started noticing small things. When I stopped smiling halfway through a sentence. When I avoided certain words. When I tried to make light of something that clearly hurt. You don't have to minimize yourself here, he said gently. The word here stayed with me. People started leaving the church when we were still talking. The lights dimmed automatically. Neither of us stood up. I should walk you out, he said once. We walked side by side through the quiet hall. Not touching, but aware. At the door, he hesitated. You're stronger than you think, he said. I looked at him. You don't really believe that, I replied. He smiled sadly. I believe it because I see it. That night I dreamed about him. Not in any way I could confess. Just the sound of his voice saying my name. The next week, he asked a question he'd never asked before. Do you feel less alone now? He said. Yes, I answered instantly. Too fast. He noticed. His jaw tightened slightly. That matters, he said. The rules started bending quietly. He stayed seated longer. Asked more personal questions. Shared more of himself than he should have. No details. Feelings. I wasn't always this certain, he admitted one night. About my calling. I turned to him. What made you stay? He looked straight ahead. Belief, he said. Then added, softer. And fear. I didn't ask which one was stronger. I already knew. One evening, I said something reckless. I feel calm when I'm here, I said. Like I don't have to perform. He closed his eyes briefly. That's dangerous, he said. For me, I asked. For both of us, he replied. After that, he tried to pull back. Shorter conversations. More distance. But distance doesn't erase something once it's been named. I caught him watching me during Mass. Just for a second. But it was enough. Later, alone again, he spoke carefully. We have to be careful, he said. I don't want to hurt you. I met his gaze. You already matter to me, I said. He inhaled sharply. That wasn't something he was prepared to hear. Faith isn't supposed to feel like this, he said quietly. Maybe it's supposed to be honest, I replied. He stood abruptly. I think you should go. I nodded, but neither of us moved. I pray for clarity, he said, voice low. But the more I pray, he stopped. I waited. The more I think about you, he finished. Silence fell between us. Heavy. Sacred. Dangerous. I don't want to be the reason you doubt, I said. He looked at me then. You're not, he said. You're the reason I'm questioning what truth actually asks of us. That night, when our hands brushed by accident, he pulled away immediately, too quickly, like he was afraid of himself. I'm sorry, he said. I shook my head. I know, but I also knew something else. We had crossed a line that couldn't be unseen, and neither of us was pretending anymore. Because once faith starts listening to the heart, it never goes back to being silent. After that night, he changed. Not completely, but enough for me to notice. He kept his distance during Mass. His sermons were shorter, more careful, almost rehearsed, like he was afraid of saying the wrong thing out loud. But when we were alone, he unraveled. We stopped meeting in the pews. Too visible. Instead, he asked me to wait in a small room behind the chapel. Plain walls, one wooden chair, a small window that let in very little light. Felt wrong to be there. That's what made it honest. We shouldn't keep doing this, he said the first night we met there. I nodded. I know. Neither of us stood up. I think about you more than I should, he admitted, not looking at me. I replay conversations, he continued. I imagine things I shouldn't imagine. My chest tightened. I don't want to be a temptation, I said quietly. He finally looked at me. You're not, he replied. You're a mirror. That word stayed with me. He started asking questions he had never asked before. What do you want your life to look like? Do Do you think love always has to cost something? Do you think God listens when we're afraid? One evening, I asked him something in return. Do you regret meeting me? The room went still. No, he said immediately. Then he softened. I regret how unprepared I was for what it would awaken. There were moments when it almost felt normal. We laughed quietly once, shared a memory from childhood. For a second, he wasn't a priest, just a man. That scared him more than anything. He started fasting more, praying longer. I could see it in his eyes, exhaustion wrapped in discipline. One night, he said, I asked to be transferred. The words hit me harder than I expected. Oh, I said, that might be best, he added quickly. For you. And for you, I asked. He hesitated. I don't know anymore. The last meeting before his decision felt heavier. The air in the room felt thick. Unspoken things pressing in from every side. I can't keep standing this close to the edge, he said. I stood up slowly. Neither of us moved away. I never asked you to, I replied. I know, he said. That's what makes this unbearable. The silence stretched. My heart was beating too loudly. I think God is disappointed in me, he whispered. I shook my head. I think you're disappointed you're human. He laughed quietly. A broken sound. You make it sound simple. It's not, I said. It's just true. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then, without thinking, I reached for his hand. Just briefly. Just enough to say you're not alone. He didn't pull away. That was the moment everything cracked. His fingers tightened around mine. Not desperate. Not rushed. Grounded. Like he was anchoring himself before he drowned. He let go first. Stood up abruptly. This can't happen again, he said. His voice shook. I know, I whispered. But we both knew that wasn't the truth anymore. The next Sunday, his voice trembled during the sermon. Just once. Just enough for me to notice. After Mass, he didn't look at me. Didn't stay behind. Didn't ask me to wait. That night, I received a message. Just one line. I need to talk. Tonight. Because some conversations don't ask for permission. They demand a choice. I met him that night outside the church. Not inside. Not near the altar. Out where no walls pretending to protect us. He was already there when I arrived. No collar. No robe. Just him. Standing under a streetlight, hands in his pockets, staring at the ground like it might give him answers. I shouldn't have asked you to come, he said the moment he saw me. Then why did you? I asked. He didn't answer. We walked slowly, side by side, not touching. The city was quiet. Too quiet. I asked for guidance, he said suddenly. From my bishop. My chest tightened. And he told me temptation is a test, he continued. That desire is something to be disciplined. I stopped walking. And what do you think? I asked. He turned to face me. I think calling love temptation is the cruelest lie I've ever believed. That was the first time he said the word love. Not loudly, not bravely, but truth doesn't need volume. I tried to pray you away, he admitted. I tried fasting. I tried silence. His voice broke. You only became clearer. I stepped closer, still not touching. You don't owe me anything, I said. Not your faith. Not your future. He laughed quietly. I know, he said. That's why this hurts. We reached a bench near the church. He sat down heavily, ran his hands over his face. If I stay, he said, I live a life that looks faithful but feels false. And if you leave? I asked. He looked up at me. I don't know who I'll be, he said. But at least I won't be lying. The space between us felt unbearable. Every instinct told me to reach for him. I didn't. You deserve someone who doesn't hesitate, I said quietly. He shook his head. No, he said. I deserve to stop hiding behind obedience. He stood up slowly, moved closer, close enough that I could feel his breath. Still, he didn't touch me. I'm afraid, he whispered, not of losing the church, but but of losing the part of me that believed sacrifice was the same as holiness. I met his eyes. Maybe faith isn't about denying love, I said. Maybe it's about choosing it honestly. The silence that followed felt sacred. Not sinful. Sacred. He leaned in slightly, stopped, closed his eyes. I can't ask you to wait, he said. I'm not, I replied. That's when he finally reached for my hand. Slowly, carefully, like it was a vow in itself. I don't know what tomorrow looks like, he said. But tonight, I know what's true. He let go just as gently, stepped back. This is where I choose, he said. I nodded. My heart was racing. So is this goodbye? I asked. He looked at me, really looked. No, he said. This is honesty. Then he turned and walked back toward the church. Not running, not hesitating, choosing. I stood there long after he disappeared inside, knowing the next time I saw him, everything would be different, because the next decision he made would either keep his vows alive or finally set him free. I didn't see him for weeks. No messages, no accidental meetings, no quiet conversations in empty rooms, just absence. I still went to church, not because I expected him to be there, but because something in me needed to understand what had happened, what we had been. Someone else stood at the altar now, a different voice, a different presence. The words were familiar, but they didn't reach me the same way. People whispered, not about me, about him. He's taking time away. He's been reassigned. He needed rest. No one said the real reason. They never do. One evening, as I was leaving, I saw him, across the street. No collar, no robes. Just a coat pulled tight against the cold. Waiting. I stopped. So did he. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then he crossed the street. Slowly, like he wasn't sure he was allowed to come closer anymore. I wasn't sure you'd come, he said. I didn't know if you'd want to see me. I looked at him. I didn't know if you'd still be here. He smiled softly. I am, he said. Just not where I used to be. We walked, not toward the church, away from it. I asked to be released from my vows, he said quietly. The words settled between us. Heavy, final. You don't say that lightly, I replied. I didn't decide lightly, he said. I prayed. I argued. I begged for clarity. He stopped walking. And in the end, I realized something. I waited. I was taught that love is proven by sacrifice, he said. But no one ever taught me that truth shouldn't require disappearance. My chest tightened. Do you regret it? I asked. He shook his head. No, he said. I regret how long I believed God wanted me to be less human. We sat on a bench. The city is moving quietly around us. No one is watching. No one is judging. I don't know what comes next, he admitted. I don't know who I am without the church telling me. I looked at him. You're still you, I said. Just honest now. He smiled. Not relieved. Peaceful. I loved you before I allowed myself to name it, he said. And I love you now without hiding it behind duty. I didn't answer right away, because love like that deserves silence. When I finally spoke, my voice was steady. I never wanted you to choose me instead of your faith. He nodded. I know, he said. That's why this choice matters. He reached for my hand. Not careful. Not unsure. Certain. I didn't lose my faith, he said. I lost my fear. We sat there until the light faded, until the church bells rang in the distance. He listened, didn't flinch, didn't look back. Do you miss it? I asked gently. He thought for a moment. I miss who I thought I had to be, he said. But I don't miss the silence I lived in. When we stood to leave, he squeezed my hand. This isn't a miracle, he said. It's a beginning. And for the first time since I walked into that confessional, I didn't feel like I was asking for forgiveness. I felt like I was finally allowed to exist. Some people find God in churches. Some people find truth in love. He found both. The moment he stopped lying to himself. Subscribe for more stories.